I mean, let's get you set for Saturday, the first one in November. Week number 10, somehow, some way already in this 2024 college football season. Now, Joe, I'm hoping for a great game in Happy Valley on Saturday, noon Eastern time kick between third-ranked Penn State and number 4 Ohio State. The Buckeyes still a road favorite, laying 3.5 points, total reflective of a Big Ten football game, 46 and a hook. I hope it is close. I hope it is decided by a single digit, maybe around a field goal. And we'll get to the breakdown, the X's and O's and the key matchups that will dictate the actual outcome. But shall we start with the narrative, my friend? Because, the narrative on Saturday for both of these head coaches in a monumental spot. By far, the game much more important for Ryan Day and Ohio State than the Nittany Lions. Penn State is perfect this year. They are undefeated. They are 7-0. They are expected, as the odds show you, to lose this football game. If the Nittany Lions lose this one, and then win every other game on their schedule where they do not see Michigan, nor Indiana, nor Oregon, they're going to get into the college football playoff despite the lack of overwhelmingly successful and marquee wins on the resume. 11-1 Penn State, who might actually play in the Big Ten title game, even with the loss to Ohio State, is going to be a college football playoff team. The reason I put that to the side is because this game means everything to Ohio State. A team that entered this year, Joe, was self-proclaimed national championship or bust aspirations. If they lose, a 2-loss Ohio State team could get in, but they still have to play Indiana, and there's always the rivalry against Michigan. But it is not exactly a clear path. And if Ryan Day loses this football game against number 3 Penn State, he will be 2-7 against top 5 opponents in his 6 full seasons with the Buckeyes. That is not the standard expectation in Columbus. So then we go to James Franklin, who was 1-9 against Ohio State and has lost 7 consecutive against the Buckeyes. Then we go to James Franklin, Joe, who is 3-17 against AP top 10 foes. A loss in this game will not look kind to either of the two coaches that will face off in State College on Saturday.
Yeah, and throw all of that out the window, Ben, because it comes down to matchups, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day here, Ohio State having to travel here to take on a Penn State team that is maybe, quite honestly, maybe the best rushing defense in the country. And I say that because we just watched Ohio State, who has 2 of the most talented running backs in the country, running the ball behind Will Howard. Judkins and Henderson got shut down by Nebraska last week. They combined for 54 total yards on 20 carries. When they played Oregon, don't forget, again, outside of a 50-yard touchdown run, they had 57 yards on 20 carries. And now you're going to take on the road, one of the best rush defenses in the country in Penn State. You're already having trouble rushing the ball. So what does that mean, Ben? That means Ohio State is going to have to rely on Will Howard to throw the ball on the road at Happy Valley in order to beat Penn State. And Penn State's offense isn't explosive by any means, but they stay on the field, they move the chains, and they wear down defenses. That's what they've been doing. The matchup favors Penn State in this. But to your point, you want me to put money on Franklin in a big game in this spot, even at home? Oh, my goodness. But make no mistake, the matchup favors Penn State.
Yes, it does, Joe, because Penn State this year, under former Indiana head coach Tom Allen, has not taken a step back on the defensive side of the football. They are top 10 in every single major stat category across the board. Scoring defense, 14 points per game. Total defense, 267. Passing defense, $174. Rushing defense, only 93 yards. They were losing at the half against Wisconsin. Their quarterback, Drew Aller, had been injured late in the opening half in Madison on Saturday. Bo Perbula came out to start the second. And Penn State's defense shut down the Badgers in the second half. It was incredible what they were able to do. Tawee Walker, 22 carries for 59 yards for Wisconsin in that game, but a lot of it was in the opening half. Penn State gave up 51 yards on 13 plays in the third quarter. Penn State this year, Joe, in the third quarter, allows 2.6 yards per play. Penn State this year, Joe, has not allowed a single point in the third quarter, or 3 rather. They've allowed 3 points, and they had a pick 6 in the third quarter against the Badgers. The defense has scored more than it has allowed in the third quarter. And that's one of the confusing things for the Buckeyes. I thought Ohio State's rushing offense was going to be otherworldly this year. Will Howard, athletic guy. Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson with Chip Kelly calling the plays. 2007 Oregon, here we go. Even UCLA, he was putting up nearly 200 yards per game on the ground. Top 20 last 3 years as the Bruins skipper in Westwood. Has not been overwhelmingly successful this season. And Penn State's rushing defense is better than Nebraska's that just got gouged the week prior by Indiana. You are correct, Joe. The matchups actually favor Penn State. But again, the narrative, my man, they have not won against Ohio State since 2017. Or let me do the math quickly here. 2016. And that was when they were unranked, not number 3 in the country with national championship aspirations. We'll talk those title odds in just a moment. Here's where both teams stack up. And again, Joe, Ohio State still better prices basically across the board than that of Penn State, except that college football playoff price is pretty close because this result doesn't actually matter that much resume-wise for Penn State because they keep winning games they are expected to win, even if they're not covering numbers like they had the previous few years. We'll talk more about a game of the year for potential in-state college on Saturday and what it means for the title odds next. Live right here on the early line, looking forward to the first Saturday in November. In college football, I should add. Exactly 1 week from today, there's a lot going on. As I'm sure you know, it's Election Day. We get a lot of things that are happening all around the sports world, including the college football playoff rankings reveal that might make people angrier than even the results of the election. It's the selection committee giving us how they see the country in the first time in the 12-team era. In a game, Joe, that will reflect those CFP rankings comes on Saturday. It's 4 versus 3. Number 4 Ohio State, 3.5-point favorite in Happy Valley against third-ranked Penn State. We have mentioned the narrative. We have talked about the matchups. It should be pointed out, as I said, Drew Aller injured at the end of the opening half against Wisconsin in Camp Randall on Saturday. We did not see him in the second half. Bo Pribula comes in, and he was sensational. 11 of 13 for 98 yards and a touchdown. Aller has also been great this year. Incredibly more efficient, completing passes than he was a season ago. He was 14 of 18 for nearly $150 and a touchdown in the opening half. The 2 quarterbacks for the Penn Staters had 6 incompletions as a team. And, Joe, that makes things compelling for the Buckeyes, as James Franklin told reporters yesterday that Drew Aller is improving. He is going to be considered a game-time decision. Who does Ohio State even prepare for?
Well, that's the big question. You're going to have to compare for both because we already know Franklin's telling us, you know, listen, Allar's played enough football for us that we can take this timeline all the way up to the game. So that doesn't help Ohio State because Ohio State's got to look at 2 totally different quarterbacks here. And we just watched, we watched the backup go into Camp Randall in the second half and was absolutely phenomenal, but different than Aller. So this is not easy for Ohio State. And if I'm Franklin, even if I know Aller's playing, am I really mentioning anything until game day? Absolutely.
For sure
not. And you might still see both guys play at some point in that game.
For sure. And you have throughout this year. Bo Pribula has played. It is the genius of the offensive coordinator, Andy Kotelnicki, in his first year in state college coming over from Lawrence, Kansas. He is a genius. And he's got guys that can do a little bit of everything. Tyler Warren, Penn State's tight end. He can throw. He can catch. He can run. He literally does everything. Nick Singleton lined up in the slot and caught Aller's first half touchdown one-handed spearing it. I mean, this team is legitimately talented offensively and is great on the defensive side of the football. So, Joe, again, a huge game for the college football playoff rankings and the chase for a college football playoff national championship. Ohio State has not looked great the last 3 weeks. Lost to Oregon in Autzen, bye week, did not look good as a 25.5-point favorite at home against Nebraska. And yet, silver lining, despite many in Columbus being unhappy with Ryan Day and being justified in such, Ohio State has the second best price to win a national championship, a 4-1 number, less than $0.50 behind Georgia. Even in front of Oregon, despite losing the head-to-head to the Ducks, I would say the Ducks are a much more balanced team at this juncture at the end of October. Joe, if you had to make a wager right now, entering the month of November, our final of the regular season in college football, what do you think is the best bet on the board?
The University of Miami. Simple. At 16-1. Because their path is the easiest, is it not?
Yeah.
They don't have to play Clemson. I mean, they're in all likelihood going to, well, they should. I don't think they're ever going to be a dog here, Ben, unless I'm missing something on the rest of the way. So, and that offense has proven, good luck. They're going to be able to drop points on any of those defenses that they play here. And the defense isn't bad either. You know, the U, any of us, we keep waiting for the wheels to fall off because that's what history has been for the U. But there is no doubt they have a Heisman quarterback right now playing at a ridiculous level with a ton of experience and weapons all over the place. They're a very dangerous team and should not be at that price.
Joe, there are two teams favored to go undefeated this year. Oregon at a greater than 2-1 price. Ducks 15.5-point road favorite in the Big House against Michigan this weekend. After that, it's really Washington that provides the test in a rivalry game for Oregon. Miami is the other, minus 174. Miami is a 20.5-point favorite at home against Duke this weekend. Then they play Georgia Tech. We know that the Yellow Jackets are always a great underdog. Then a bye, and it's Wake Forest in Syracuse. They're going to be a double-digit favorite in every game the remainder of this year. And they need just 4 more wins to be unbeaten. And, Joe, it's not just an ACC title. It's an opening round bye in the college football playoff. I like your thought. Hour 3 is up next.